All right, this is Jair Rdz from Facebook, and he wanted a critique. Um, so I prefer the 2013 version versus the 2015 version, and the reason I prefer it is because one, the anatomy is better, um, and two, personally, I'm not a fan of anime. I see it all day with my students. So what happens is you have to realize that anime is a non-industry desire. It's fine for personal art, but if you're trying to get a job with portfolio, stay away from anime. But that being said, what I would say right off the bat is you want to have um, more shape and form in your stuff, and you're starting to get there. But the problem is um, you need to really kind of push this aspect of your character. So let me grab a blue one, and let me just actually. So the first one doesn't really have any pose, and so um, oops, that wasn't working. All right. Um, so the big issue is when you look at yours. Um, So when you look at yours, you've got the face, all right, and you're basically given direction to the face, which is good. Um, Neck, shoulders, um, and you're using the small proportions, which is fine. Um, and the hips, which is the larger aspect, but you need to kind of build out that form. So center the hips here, and then what you have to realize is that the hips would come off like this, and you're not going to have this huge gap. I mean, unless you want that, you want the really wide hips, but it's very disproportionate. Um, and don't twist the knees and stuff like that. Physically, this is like near impossible of a pose. If you're going to kind of put this the way you have it, let's see here. You want to get the buttocks in there. You see that curve here, and then it's not round lines, it's flowing lines. There's a reason behind each line, and so twisting the hips like this, and getting more thickness on your line work will help you kind of pull out that aspect. And so what you want is you want to have that aspect of looking at the way things are. So here, you don't want to have oops. Here you don't want to have as much hip, and you're going to push this leg further in. So do you see how just by pushing that hip in closer and getting it like so is going to really kind of push that female form? And then this hip, you see you've got this hip over here, it needs to match on this side. Um, the the hip bone, the iliac crest, is what pops out, and that's really going to sell your your piece. Getting a little bit larger thighs in there is fine. Same thing here, but you need to narrow it down to be a little bit more proportionate with the body. And then watch where your joints are, because here you've got your joint, but your bend is way up here. Your bend would actually be down here. And then if you want to add, don't do the tube method, like you've got straight tubes like that. Instead, look at how the form is, and you would have accents like that, and that's really going to be what sells your piece. I think your arm is, like, this arm is really long, and look at the form here. You need to have more anatomy in there, things like that. And then this arm, because you're going sideways, you've shortened it because you want to foreshorten it. So you want to create overlaps in here, and that'll actually give you better distance. And then bring this forward, more arc, and that'll actually bring it towards the character, or towards the viewer. And you know, when you put in like guns and stuff, you know, make sure that the grips go in all the way, and make sure the hands flow around it, not just over it, type of thing. So it's more, the things that you have to worry about are more anatomy, and then when you get the form in there, that's the next step. So once you get the anatomy down, the form is the next step that kind of takes hold, because right here you've got this bright light, but then you've just put in darks with no real apparent reason. So by darkening, actually, let's really quickly cheat on this. So by darkening this, so if I take a darker brush, do you see how darkening that really sells the form now? And that's what's really going to kind of push the aspect of what you're looking for. You want those details in there. So you get the form of the character, and then you can actually just overlay the color on there, and that's going to help you out as well. So that's another aspect of what you want to do. Is I know you're getting the basics in there, but you need to really push that light and dark, and then you can actually add a little bit of a rim light here, and then you see how that adds a lot more dimension, and gives you more depth into your picture. All right.